Hey guys, it's your girl, Miss Ileane, and by now you probably have your podcast listed in all the directories. But don't you wish there was just one link you could send folks to so that they could listen in their listening app of choice? Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you 3 different solutions for this problem, but I want you to stay to the end because they keep getting better as I go along. So let's start off with the very first one. Now, this is a new one, and I want to give a shout out to the folks over at Product Hunt, as well as my girl Beauty Bubble, for introducing me to this. It's called WeFo. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. You come over here and you search for your podcast. And what it does is it gives you smart links that direct your listeners to their native podcast app, because you're not sure. Some folks only have Android phones, or maybe they like to listen from their desktop. So you want to give them a link that has all the places. And this is especially helpful if you don't have your own website. So once you search for a podcast, I've already searched for the Miss Ileane Speaks podcast. It gives me 2 links. So let's just go over to the page link so you can see what the page looks like. And it's got Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Overcast, which is my favorite, and all these links that folks can go to. Now, I want you to scroll down to the very bottom of the page, and you'll see why this is not really my favorite option, but it's one to get you started. You see here, it tells you you can share this page, Facebook, Twitter, or embed it. Claim this page to remove branding and ads and get a short, sexy WeFo / your podcast domain, plus additional access to Spotify and Stitcher links. Well, friends, you don't have to do that. I want to introduce you to someone who has been really a wealth of information for the podcasting space and the podcast industry, and that is James Critland. James Critland. But the website that I want you to remember is PodNews. Now, we're going to go over to PodNews. James does a daily podcast that's Monday through Friday, which you can also subscribe and listen to as an Alexa flash briefing. Okay, so with PodNews, you can come over here and search for any podcast. Now, this is podnews.net. So I've already searched for my podcast, and there it is, Miss Ileane Speaks. But lo and behold, when I go over to this page, one thing I want to do is click See All Platforms. I'm going to scroll down a bit to say See All Platforms. Well, already you see there's a heck of a lot more platforms here than what we saw over on the WeFo page, okay? So we've got things I didn't even know about some of these platforms. Like, for example, I had never heard of Bullhorn until I saw this on PodNews. Then you've got even a way that people can, of course, listen in Spotify, so you don't have to claim your page for that. And the RSS feed, Luminary, which I didn't even know my podcast was in Luminary. All the Android apps, that's a special page you go to for all the different Android apps. And Player FM, all these other apps, or you may or may not realize that your audience is using. And they are some incredible apps that are also available on Android devices as well as iPhones and iPads, and on the web, of course. I want you to also scroll down on the page, and you'll see you can find out how many episodes are in the feed, how often the show is updated, who the host is. So here is a full list of every episode of the podcast, going all the way back to 2012. Okay. This leads me to the third option that I want to share with you, and I want you all to check out this Podchaser. Podchaser. And you know what? Before I go over to Podchaser, I just want to remind you that you can now buy me a coffee. Buy me a coffee. Just go to Ileane.link/coffee. You appreciate the value that I give here on YouTube, over on Twitter, and even on Twitch and Facebook, the whole bit. If you want to see the show survive and keep going, I want you to think about buy me a coffee. So it's Ileane.link/coffee. All right, so now let's go over to Podchaser. I have actually already gone over here and claimed my profile. I met these folks during Podcast Movement 2018. And here you have your own page. Let's go over to my podcast, Miss Ileane Speaks, here on Podchaser. And for Podchaser, you can add any links that you want over here on this sidebar. You can also add your website, your social media, Twitter, Patreon, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever you want to add, your YouTube, and all of the rest for your show. So I recommend that you use the links, the landing page that you get from James Critlin at PodNews. And what I've done for my page is I made a short link for it. So it's Ileane.link/podcast. And that's how you'll find all the places you can listen to Miss Ileane Speaks. And for those who want to have their own profile, Podchaser is like the internet movie database of podcasting. And so you can go over there, claim your page, and put more information about yourself on this page. And you can also share this page with folks instead of sending them to the Apple Podcast link, which is not going to work for them if they're on an Android phone. So be sure to check out the other tutorials that I have here. I have a lot on podcasting as well as YouTube and live streaming. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.